Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope all are doing well. Yes, today the topic I have chosen for a grade 8th class for extraordinary and extra special students like you because today we are starting with a grade 8th class science sprint beginning from the chapter is crop production and management. This is your chapter from your grade 8th class. This will be wonderful session for wonderful students. Don't miss the video. Watch till end. Yes. Coming to the topic or previous knowledge. And for a while, our dear students, forget about studying science. Means you are in a farm and you have farmer here and what will you do? You are just take it as a journey to the farm, how crop is grown, how is ultimately comes to market, and finally you will consume it. In class 7th standard, we talk about we have understood the nutrition in plants and animals, and these nutritions are derived from what? Food. And what is a crop? Not only rice and wheat are called crops. When the fruits cultivated in a large scale, we called as fruit crops, and also vegetable crops when vegetables grown in a large scale. Means totally what is a crop means when plants of the same kind are cultivated at one place on a large scale, they called what? Crops. Yes, the example of this one you take for there are crops can be classified as based on the seasons they grow or the cropping pattern as kharif crops and rabi crops. And kharif crop means there are grown in rainy seasons in the month of June to September, and rabi crops they are grown in winter seasons in the month of October to March. And examples of kharif crops paddy means is rice, and maize means corn, soybean, groundnut, or kharif crops. And uh, what are rabi crops means wheat, gram, pea, mustard, and linseed, and rabi crops. And beside the rules, what are pulses or like dal, tur dal are usually vegetables we will do in summer. So next is a very basic concept for basic practices of crop production. This is a very important in chapter in agriculture, that is cultivation of crops. Certain activities are done by farmers or a period of time, and these agriculture practices are first one we can say preparation of a soil, that is we turn and loosen the soil and say and second one is a sowing, that we plant the seeds. Third one is adding manure and fertilizers to replenish the soil. Fourth one is irrigation, where we water and all the crops. And the fifth one is a protection from the weeds. Weeds are those undecided plant grown along with the sixth one is a harvesting and plants. And the seventh one is a finally storage. Now we discuss each of these practices. And now the the first agricultural practice is a preparation of a soil. Uh, Now the three questions will arise and comes in our mind. What do you mean by a preparation of a soil, and why do we need preparation of a soil, and how can be done? So let's see what you mean by preparation of a soil. Preparation of a soil means turning and loosening the soil. So why do we need to do this? Since only a few centimeter of a topsoil supports plant growth, turning and loosening the soil brings the nutrient rich soil to the top so the plants can use it. The loosened soil helps in the growth of earthworms and microbes. Yes, of course, earthworm and microbes are called as what? The friends of farmers. So, by loosening the soil, the roots can penetrate deep into the soil, making them to breathe water easily, to turning the soil uh, or tilling the soils, it means. So now this process of turning or loosening the soil is called for what? Tilling or plowing. So it is done from what? From plow. So it is the process of tilling and loosening the soil and turning the soil is called what? Tilling or plowing. So if the soil is dry, watering is required before plowing, and the plowed field many may have big clumps of soil called crumbs, and it is required to break those crumbs. So leveling is also required for sowing as well as irrigation, and is done by uh, the leveler. There is no, the tractor is connected to the one leveler. So this one is the process. So manure is also added to the soil for what? Before uh, tilling. Next process is adding manure and fertilizers. Due to continuous cultivation of crops, the soil gets impoverished. Thus, farmers use manure and fertilizers to replenish the nutrients of the soil. And this process is called as a manuring. So, insufficient and improper manuring results in weak plants. So we can, what we have to do for continuous cultivation and crops, we have to the soil will have to uh, 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 we have to add the some manure and fertilizers to get its betterment. So what is a manure? So its manure is an organic substance obtained from the decomposition of plants and animal waste. And how it is formed? So farmers dump plants and animals waste in pits, which is then decomposed by microorganisms and thus organic manure. And advantages of using this manure is it retain water level, it makes a soil proper and improves soil texture, and it increases the number of friendly what? Microbes. Yes, and we can come to the next adding point is, so what are fertilizers? These are chemicals which are rich in a particular nutrient. These are called fertilizers, and how it is produced. These are produced in a factories. Example: urea, ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, potash, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and etc. So use of fertilizers, it has two categories, means advantages also and disadvantage also. And advantages we have to come, helps farmers in a better yield of crops such as wheat, paddy, maize, and etc. And the disadvantages also is there, that excessive use makes the soil less fertile. It is a major source of water pollution. So what can be done here? So there possibilities. Is there advantages also? The disadvantages, what we can done here? Substitute fertilizers with organic manure. Leave the field cultivated in between crops, or apply the process of crop rotation, that is growing different crops alternately. So now we have the two different categories. We have to differentiate fertilizers and manure. So fertilizers, it's a man-made inorganic salt, and manure, it is a natural substance obtained by decomposition of plants and animals waste. It is prepared by factories, it is prepared in the fields. It doesn't provide any humus to the soil, it provides a lot of humus to the soil, and rich in nutrients like nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. It is relatively less rich in plants and nutrients. So The main important thing is irrigation. So what will be done in the irrigation is what is irrigation? The supply of water to crops at a regular intervals is called what? Irrigation. The supply of water to crops at regular intervals is called what? Irrigation. And the time and the frequency of irrigation varies from crop to crop, soil to soil, and season to season. So sources of irrigations are wells, tube wells, ponds, lakes, rivers, dams, and canals. And why is irrigation required? The ultimate question: why is irrigation required? Germination of seeds doesn't take place under dry conditions. Nutrients dissolved in water are transported to each part of the plant. It protects crop from the both frost and hot air currents to maintain a moisture of the soil for water. So what we have two types of method into the traditional methods, and the other is modern methods. Give a brief discussion about this you need in a irrigation process. Okay. The water is available in the well, lakes, river, or lifted by these methods or taken to filled by capital or human labor. So these are cheaper, but it is a very less efficient, and also resultant is a wastage of water. Now the first, whether is a moat or pulley and lifted directly from the well and with the help of the pulley, uh, and it is poured into this channel which act as an artificial stream, and it provides water to the rest of the field. And second one is a chain pump. It contains of two large wheels connected with an endless chains of buckets. Okay, and one will emerge with half immerse and inside the source, and this will rotate so the water gets filled inside and reaches the top. It pours into the channel. And artificial steam is the next decade. In a daikali we have a bucket and a rope which is connected in a large pole, and the other end of the pole is connected to heavy. Lift this up, we could wear directly water from the well. Yes. Okay. And fourth method is a leveler system. Here the water is directly taken from this well with the help of the animals. Yes. And it has two wheels. The animals is collected like a bull is connected to a wheel. Yes. And when we wheel is moved by this animal, the water is directly drawn from the source. See, this wheel is immersed inside. Yes. The source and this is bulls moves in a circular motion. The wheel also moves and it takes in the rotation from this well, and it goes down into the pumps are commonly used for lifting the water. And these pumps can be with the help of this biogas, electricity, and solar energy. Next, in the modern methods of irrigation. Yes, the first method is the modern methods of irrigation, the sprinkler system that is useful for us, and it is insufficient water have the perpendicular pipes. You can see perpendicular pipes or rotating nozzles on the top of this and it is joined the main pipeline, and at regular intervals it has perpendicular pipes with rotating nozzles, and they are connected to the main pipeline at regular intervals. And when the pressure from the main pipe is produced with the help of a pump, the water escapes through these nozzles. It provides an effect of raining, and it's mainly used for lawns, coffee plantations. And the second is a drip system. The water falls drop by drop directly near the roots. It's the best technique for watering fruit plants, and water is not wasted at all. Now the fifth in the agriculture practice is a protection from weeds, water. So weeds, the undesirable plants, the desirable crops. We have go through naturally along with these are called weeds, and process of removing these weeds, and it's called weeding is a process for removing these undesirable plants. What we need to protect animals, we need to complete with the crop plants for water. and nutrient space and light it affects with the growth of the crop. It may even interference in harvesting, which may be poisonous to humans as well as animals. Therefore, it is required to weeding. So, how is reeding done? Uh, Tilling before sowing, and crops will the uprooting and killing the weeds. Tilling means plowing with the help of a plow or cultivator. Yes, we could uproot or kill the weeds. We could do weeding manually with the help of the kurpi as well. Then this is the would either uproot of the cut with them lose the ground, and we'll drill support weeds that we have to seed drill. I hope you remember in the mission we connected with the tractor, which is as a frame of the teeth, which is the linear motion. So weed can also be controlled by using certain chemicals called as a we decided like uh, is sprayed in the field, which can help a sprayer. So the farmers now the sixth agricultural practice is harvesting, and this is very important. The harvesting is cutting off crops after it matures is called harvesting. The crops takes about there is a 4 months to manure, and other cut it crops are close to the ground or pull it out. So the process is called harvesting. We can do it in manually with the help of the sickle or by machine called harvester. And the harvested crop, the grain seed or need to separate from the process is called a threshing, and it is done by machine called a combine. This is a combination. It has a both harvester and as well as a thresher. It harvests the crops and it separates grain seeds from the chaff. Farmers with a small land are threshing with the help windowing. The seventh and the last agriculture practice is very important is, and the final procedure for the this one the process is storage. So this is very important. Then so why do we need to storage? To keep the harvested grains from moisture, insects, rats, and microorganisms. As the grains contains moisture, they should be dried before storing. And how do we store grains? Farmers store grains in jute bags or metallic bins. In a large scale storage of grains is done in silos and granaries, and a dried beam leaves are used for storing food grains at home. Yes, this is the what we have to done. That last procedure we call a storage here. And like animal husbandry, we come to know, and like this animal husbandry, we will provides us a food like milk, egg, meat, wool, etc. Like a crop production management, animals rated at home and in farms should be provided with the proper food and shelter and care. It is in the large case called animal husbandry. And that's it, students. This is all about your first chapter, crop production and management. And make a separate 200 pages notebook for a science subject, and write down all the points on this first chapter and neatly in your fair notebook. And yes, read well, study well, and be safe at home.